Tonight on Sports Night in Auburn, a recap of the LSU football game by reporter Vince Wolfram.
Stay tuned for women's volleyball news, and senior night for soccer begins this Sunday against LSU.
All of that and so much more.
Sports Night in Auburn starts right now.
Auburn, Alabama, the best atmosphere in all of college sports.
He drives and slips.
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn.
Gone deep to the left.
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn.
Sideline. Going to the end zone.
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn.
And welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Jack Corbett.
And I'm Valerie Heffernan, coming to you live from our studio. If you guys didn't know, we had off this past Friday for our fall break. Jack, how was your break?
My break was great. I actually went to Disney World with my family.
No way, that's amazing.
Guardians of the Galaxy is the best ride I've ever ridden, so
Really?
highly recommend. Yeah, it was
I
unbelievable.
feel like I'm more of a Space Mountain person, but I see where you're coming
it's
from.
just Space Mountain, but 10 times better. I promise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you
I need
gotta
to
try it
go
out.
then, and so should y'all.
Yeah.
This past weekend wasn't the best if you consider yourself an Auburn fan. It was a battle of the Tigers as number 22 LSU defeated Auburn 48-18 in Death Valley. Sports Night in Auburn reporter Vince Wolfram traveled to the game and gave us behind-the-scenes coverage on our Instagram story at EETV_sports. You should follow if you don't. He also gave us a game recap. Let's take a look.
LSU playing host to Auburn in Death Valley. The battle of the Tigers, but this battle seemed pretty one-sided early. Out the gates, LSU running back Logan Diggs barrels on and on for 35 yards to set up LSU in Auburn territory. And just 2 plays later, Jaden Daniels, a 29-yard touchdown throw to Malik Neighbors. LSU up 10-0 after their first 2 drives. Where was the Auburn offense? Well, that's a good question. First Auburn possession, a miscommunication on 3rd down led to a 3-and-out. And on the next drive, Thorne delivered a souvenir to the LSU defense, but it was dropped. The Auburn O was shaky at best. The only shaky factor for LSU came from the Death Valley crowd, as the place was rocking after this 25-yard touchdown strike from Daniels to Kyron Lacey, 17-0 LSU. Auburn's offense needed something. Second quarter, Peyton Thorne using his legs, a 16-yard dash for a first down, which set up a 2-yard punch from Jarquez Hunter. Auburn's first score of the game. Late second quarter, Auburn's defense was trying to build some momentum. Daniels throwing over the middle gets tipped up in the air and picked off by DJ James. Auburn was unable to capitalize off the turnover, though, and went into halftime down 20-7. Third quarter, LSU came out looking like Thor from the Avengers, ready to put the hammer down. Here, Jaden Daniels looks to Josh Williams and says, "Bring me my hammer." A 13-yard trip for 6, giving the yellow and purple a 34-10 lead. This Auburn team showed fight until the clock hit 0, though. Robbie Ashford in at QB rolls to his right and finds Brandon Frazier for the touchdown. Hugh Freeze decides, hey, let's go for 2, and Ashford says, let me run that back. On an almost identical play as the touchdown, Ashford hucks a pass to Frazier again in the end zone for the extra 2 puntos. The scoreboard read 34-18, LSU leading, but the LSU offense was moving like a fast car with no brakes in this game. 2 more touchdowns from Ryan Kelly's team left no hope for an Auburn comeback, with the final score LSU 48, Auburn 18. Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze acknowledged that the game was a strenuous one.
Yeah, obviously a difficult night for us. They beat us every way, that you could. We had no answers. Defensively for them, and offensively just not consistent enough to stay in a scoring match with them.
From Death Valley, I'm Vince Wolfram, Eagle Eye TV.
Sports 9 Auburn reporter Kegan Miller is sharing with us his predictions for the upcoming college football weekend. Tweet us at EETV_sports on Twitter to let us know your game day predictions. Take a look.
Howdy, I'm Kegan Miller. New look, the same great flavor, baby. Even after more shakeups last week, we have an array of games this weekend that threaten to keep shaking up this unfamiliar college football season we have underway this year. In the Big Ten, we have a highly anticipated matchup between number 7 Penn State and number 3 Ohio State. Penn State has struggled in recent years against the Buckeyes, and this game being in Columbus doesn't help the Nittany Lions out. I think Ohio State takes care of business this weekend, but in close fourth quarter fashion. In the ACC, number 16 Duke visits number 4 Florida State. FSU has proven to be tough to beat all year, and I think they keep proving that this weekend. Especially with Riley Leonard questionable return, I don't see Duke pulling off the upset. Without him, they have no shot. A big matchup in the Pac-12 is number 18 USC taking on number 14 Utah at home. USC scores a lot and has huge yards per game. However, they also give up a lot of points and yardage a game. Even with that being said, I still think Caleb Williams takes his team on his back and they win and get back in the win column this week after their loss to Notre Dame last week. Finally, in the SEC, it's the third Saturday in October. You know what that means. Number 17 Tennessee goes to Tuscaloosa to take on number 11 Alabama Crimson Tide. The Crimson Tide is getting better and better every week. Their defense has consistently been lights out, and Murrah has what it takes to bring this team back into the playoff conversation. I'm taking the Crimson Tide in a revenge game for last year. Well, short, but that's all I got for y'all. Let me know what y'all think this weekend on our Twitter page. Have fun watching football.
Reporter Paige Hunter and also Eagle Eye TV's newest co-host of their newest show, Paige and Micah in the PM, is here tonight to share her top 3 Auburn plays of the week. Were you able to find 3 plays of the week after that disappointing football performance?
I was. Obviously not the result we wanted, but lots happening this weekend in Auburn athletics. Not here in Auburn specifically, but our traveling Tigers did pretty good this weekend.
Well, good. We're excited to hear what you found.
All right, guys, let's jump in. A quiet weekend in Auburn as a lot of our Tigers traveled, but the Lady Tigers of Auburn softball stayed home and made a statement, grabbing a fall ball doubleheader win. At number 3, a 2-run homer from senior Michaela Packer helped set up an 11-run first inning for the Tigers as they beat Coastal Alabama 25-3 and Enterprise State 13-0 in the following game. At number 2, over in Baton Rouge, while the Tigers might not have come home with a win, senior tight end Brandon Frazier had his best game yet. Frazier finds the end zone for a strike from Robbie Ashford, then gets the ball again for a 2-point conversion at the beginning of the 4th. This was one of his 3 receptions for a total of 52 yards against LSU, which is already more than his 33 yards in his past season. And this week's number 1 play is an interception from DJ James in the 2nd quarter. LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels' pass is broken up by Jalen Simpson, who pops the ball up in the air, and James grabs it. A big moment for Auburn defense as they get a stop and the ball back. And those are your top 3. A lot of Auburn athletics action this weekend. Check back next Wednesday for more of the biggest plays and best moments. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Paige. We're excited to hear what you've come up with next week. Do you guys want to know where some of these Auburn players are today after they leave the Plains? Well, Joleigh Cavanagh has you covered, breaking down the progress each of these athletes are making on their professional teams. Over to you, Joleigh.
War Eagle, I'm Joleigh Cavanagh, and welcome back to From the Plains to the Pros. I've got the NFL, a little bit of the NBA, and a wrap-up of the MLB, so let's get started. Switching it up and starting off with baseball, the 3rd round of the playoffs is currently in play. Unfortunately, the Minnesota Twins lost in round 2, and along with that was Auburn's representation. However, it ended on a high note as Edward Julian had his first playoff home run in the major leagues in the last game. Jumping quickly over to basketball, the NBA preseason games are still happening right now, and Auburn's very own Jabari Smith Jr. is continuing his successful gameplay. In just his 2nd game of the season, Smith already reached the 20-point mark. Against the Pelicans Thursday, he had 22 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal on the night. Finally, ending with my personal favorite, NFL football. Monday night had a close game between the Cowboys and the Chargers, with the Cowboys ultimately coming out on top. But it was a surprise player on the Chargers that made an impact. Former Auburn long snapper Josh Harris recorded a solo tackle. This happened during a crucial play in the 4th quarter when a call that was at first called on downing a punt was reversed to a muffed catch after Los Angeles challenged the ruling. Harris was credited with the tackle, which ultimately led to Chargers getting the ball back and scoring a game-tying touchdown. On Sunday Night Football, New York Giants wide receiver Darius Slayton led the team in receiving yards. He had 4 receptions for 69 yards, including a 31-yard long catch. This made Slayton in the top 5 players on offense for the Giants, according to PFF, with a grade of 65.8. Continuing backward to Sunday morning, Jacksonville Jaguars defensive end Angelo Blackson recorded his 3rd fumble recovery on the season. Blackson's teammate Josh Allen sacked Gardner Minshew, forcing the fumble and leading Blackson to hop right on it. With the Packers having their bye week, it was only one Carlson in action this past weekend. Daniel helped the Raiders secure the win by scoring 4 field goals and 1 extra point for a total of 13 points. This was his first game since Week 4 in 2022 against the Broncos, where Daniel had over 4 makes. His efforts led Las Vegas to claim their 500th win in franchise history. On to the Buccaneers. Cornerback Jamel Dean played for the first time in 3 weeks after suffering a shoulder injury against the Eagles in Week 3. His comeback must have been a great birthday gift as he recorded 6 total tackles on his 27th birthday. He also had the second best grade on Tampa's defense with a 75.2 grade according to PFF. Speaking of injuries, former Auburn offensive tackle Jack Driscoll had to step up this weekend. After the Eagles starting right tackle Lane Johnson suffered an ankle sprain during the game, Driscoll became right tackle number 1. He's on track to start this weekend against the Dolphins as Johnson is still questionable to return. Now, onto the weekly injury report. The Indianapolis Colts were without their starting right tackle as Braden Smith was listed as out with a hip injury before the game. He is still listed as questionable for Week 7. And after just coming back from a different injury, Patriots cornerback Jonathan Jones left Sunday's game against the Raiders early with a knee injury. He did not return, and now he is left questionable for Week 7. Before he left, he recorded 5 total tackles. Before I leave you, free agent rookie tight end John Samuel-Schenkel tried out for another team yesterday. After trying out for the Detroit Lions last Tuesday, yesterday he tried out for the Denver Broncos. That's it for tonight. Be sure to check back with me next week for more updates on Auburn in the NFL and NBA. I'm Joleigh Cavanagh. Good night, and War Eagle.
If you're an Auburn fan, there's nothing that you probably want more than to see the Tigers defeat the Ole Miss Rebels this Saturday at Jordan-Hare. Kickoff will start at 6 p.m. Jalen Simpson will be playing in the 2023 Senior Bowl Defensive All-American team at the Reese Senior Bowl, an event that showcases some of the nation's best college football talent leading up to the NFL Draft each spring.
Auburn University is honoring Ed King as the 2023 SEC football legend. Sources say that in King's time, he would have been a 5-star ranked player if rankings existed back then. King is a 2-time All-American, and he helped Auburn win back-to-back SEC titles in 1988 and 1989. The Auburn fans are truly showing up and showing out this season. They are breaking records as old as 2015. All 7 of Auburn's home football games are completely sold out. Truly such a great time to be an Auburn fan, wouldn't you say, Jack?
I completely agree. No atmosphere like it, truly. Coming up, we have a game day weather report by reporter Albert Osorio.
That's right, so stay tuned. But first, of course, it's trivia time. Who is the winningest coach in Auburn football history? Is it A, Mike Donahue, B, Ralph Jordan, C, Pat Dye, or D, Tommy Tuberville?
Tweet us your answer on Twitter at EETV_sports. We'll be right back after this short break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Sports Night in Auburn.
Good evening, y'all. I'm Albert Osorio, and I will be covering the weather report of the week. Auburn soccer will have their senior night game against LSU this Sunday at 4 p.m. Expect partly cloudy skies with a high of 73 and a low of 51. Auburn football is back in the Plains this Saturday as the Tigers take on the Ole Miss Rebels at 6 p.m. There will be clear skies with a high of 69 and a low of 52. Finally, Auburn softball's final exhibition doubleheader against Gulf Coast State College and Wallace State Community College will take place this Sunday at 2 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. As mentioned earlier, there will be partly cloudy skies with a high of 73 and a low of 51. And as you can tell, we are in a change of season, so bring your favorite sweater or jacket to every outdoor night game going forward the next couple of months. That's all for the weather report of the week. I'm Albert Osorio, and you're watching Sports Night in Auburn. War Eagle.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Valerie Heffernan.
And I'm Jack Corbett.
Now, Jack, I shouldn't have to ask you by now, but do you know what time it is?
It's trivia time. If you tweeted us the answer Ralph Jordan, you're absolutely correct.
James Ralph Shug Jordan was an American football, basketball, and baseball player and served as a coach for football and basketball. You might recognize his name when you drive on Shug Jordan Parkway here in Auburn.
You know, I don't have a car here, but it's unrecognizable. I see the street all the time, unmissable, pass it all the time.
Well, when you do get a car here, Micah, you should definitely drive on Shug Jordan Parkway.
That's right. The highway was completed in 1971 as West University Drive and was renamed to Shug Jordan Parkway to honor Coach Jordan.
All right, well, we can always rely on the number 2 Auburn Equestrian to bring home the wins. Wrapping up this weekend, the Equestrian team earned a road win against number 10 UT Martin. The Tigers fiercely competed down to the last minute, taking the final 2 points to end the score 3-0. Sophomore Caroline Buchanan led off with a 70 to 69.5 edge, keeping her team score undefeated for the season. A special congratulations to sophomore Alexia Tordoff for giving Auburn its 11th point and bringing home the team a win.
Switching topics now to women's volleyball. Unfortunately, the number 22 Tigers weren't able to get by number 10 Tennessee, losing 3-1 in Knoxville. Head coach Brent Crouch went into detail with the media after the game, expressing his disappointment in the lack of consistency when it came to the Tigers' performance. Crouch emphasizes the importance of serving tough in all sets, especially when they hit the road to compete. Akasha Anderson fought hard, refusing to go home early, reaching her double figures in kills for the 14th time this year. Madison Shear also reached double figures in kills, but not even that was enough to hold off Tennessee.
Moving on to women's soccer, Auburn's dominant defense competed against Texas A&M and played a 0-0 draw last Friday night at the Auburn Sports Soccer Complex. Head coach Karen Hoppe congratulates the defense's hard work as they played great at the end of the ball. Surprisingly, the Aggie and the Tigers attempted 13 shots on frame, but neither of them resulted in goals for the team. Auburn's Anna Haddock and Sydney Richards co-led the team, each recording 3 shots, with Auburn totaling 10 shots by the end of the match.
The Strictly Auburn podcast is taking over. Yeah, you heard that right. They are here to debate Auburn basketball hot topics in just 3 minutes. So I'll give the boys a countdown start. 3, 2, 1. Take it away, guys.
Thanks, guys. Strictly Auburn is back on Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Jake Lazarus here with Connor King. Let's talk some Auburn basketball. The first AP poll came out earlier this week, and Auburn's name was left off. However, on the KenPom rankings, ranked as high as 15. So, Connor, we'll start here. Why was Auburn left off, and where should we be ranked, in your opinion?
Well, I think we're left off just because of the lackluster result last year, having around a 32 exit to Houston. And, I think some people think that Wendell Green was actually a really big impact on our team. He scored a lot. We took a lot of shots, but we have new guys coming in that are way better than him, in my opinion. One of those guys being freshman Aiden Holloway. He's so important to our offense, and he's going to be explosive coming out of the gates this season. We also have big transfers in Denver Jones, Chad Baker-Mazzara, and we have one in Chaney Johnson, too. All 3 of those guys, they should be fighting for starting spots this year. They're all really talented in their respective ways. Denver Jones can shoot the ball very well. Aiden Holloway is a 2-way player, and Chaney Johnson has crazy bounce. He can play some really good defense. He has lots of length. I think 6'7", 6'8". So we have a lot of guys. We have some depth returning in our backcourt. Janai Broom, he's on the SEC preseason first team. That's really important. He's one of the best players in the SEC. I think he's the best center in the SEC. And we have Dylan Cardwell and Jalen Williams also returning. There's 2 other big men. So we have lots of depth. A lot of guys that are great shooters, and we all have defenders across the court. Of course, Bruce Pearl turns every player on his team into a great defender. So I think we should be ranked right now for a lot of reasons. What about you, Jake?
I also think the best Bruce Pearl coach teams are when they're just deep, right? 10, 12 guys deep, and you can just rotate guys so they go as hard as they can on defense, and you get stop after stop after stop, and you just make big plays on the offensive board and on the defensive board. I think Janai Broom has the biggest impact on this team this year. I think Aiden Holloway launches this team into a top 20 spot by the end of the first month of the season. I think this team is a better team than at any point last year in terms of talent, just straight on paper. But again, that's to be seen once the season gets started later next month. I'm pumped for basketball season. Connor, I know you're pumped for basketball season. And Sports Night in Auburn, you guys are pumped for basketball season. Back to you guys in the studio.
Now, Valerie, before we get into some basketball, I know I have the curly hair, but I'm not Micah.
I know, and I'm so sorry I called you Micah, but it's definitely the curly hair that resembles it.
It's okay, Faith. And happy birthday, Micah. We hope you're having a great day.
Thanks, Jack. Basketball is almost back in action, and both the men and women's teams have a pretty busy week coming up. Last Thursday, the Tigers held their annual Pro Day team where NBA teams and their scouts could come to see our players perform. Auburn center Janai Broom stated how it was a great opportunity to show their skills and also gave his teammates advice on how to perform in front of NBA scouts after he participated in the NBA Combine last summer. Broom was also recently named to the preseason All-SEC first team. This honor comes after he was named All-SEC second team last year. Broom is Auburn's top returning scorer, rebounder, and shot blocker. In addition to being named to the first team, he also received some votes for Player of the Year. Broom headed to Birmingham today to represent Auburn alongside Jalen Williams at the 2023 SEC Media Day. On the women's side, Honesty Scott Grayson and Taylon Collins will be Auburn reps on Thursday for the Women's Basketball SEC Media Day.
Swinging right on into Auburn softball, the Orange and Blue had yet another successful Sunday. In their third consecutive doubleheader, the Tigers continued their undefeated streak. First, Auburn defeated Coastal Alabama Community College 25-3. The mercy rule was not in play this weekend as they started off scoring strong, scoring 11 runs in the opening inning alone. This included a grand slam from junior Amelia Leck for her third home run of the season. Then next up, the Tigers shut out Enterprise State Community College 13-0. Throughout both games, Auburn had 38 hits and 7 home runs, all scored by a different player. On the pitching side, Auburn only allowed 1 earned run in over 12 innings. The Orange and Blue will close out their fall play this Sunday with their last doubleheader. They will take on Gulf Coast State College and Wallace State Community College.
If you have no plans, make sure to catch one of those games. Moving over, Auburn baseball is back. War Eagle to that. This past Friday was the first fall exhibition game versus Alabama. Unfortunately, the Tigers lost 5-2 and 10-0 in 2 7-inning matchups. The Tide began the game hot by striking out 22 batters across the 14 innings of action. Alabama even scored 5 runs in the very first inning by Gage Miller and Ian Petrus. The second game had a total of 7 innings, with the Tide's Camden Hayslip getting 2 home run performances.
When we come back, we break down men and women's tennis, cross country, track and field, and so much more. So stay tuned.
But before we go, of course, it's trivia time once again. Which of the following Tigers did not win the Heisman Trophy? Is it A, Bo Jackson, B, Cam Newton, C, Pat Sullivan, or D, Cadillac Williams?
If you know the answer, tweet us at EETV_sports. We'll be right back, so don't go anywhere.
You're watching Sports Night in Auburn.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Jack Corbett.
And I'm Valerie Heffernan. If you tweeted us the answer D, Cadillac Williams, you are correct.
Valerie, did you know that one?
Unfortunately, I did not. Did you, Jack?
No, I think that we're just both Louisville guys. We got to stay proud with our Lamar Jackson. You know, we don't know all the Auburn history yet.
Exactly. My Heisman Trophy knowledge starts and ends with Lamar, so that's about all I can say for that.
But we're learning.
Exactly. You learn something new every day, so now we know. Taking a look at tennis, the men's team hosted the ITA Southern Regional Championships from Thursday to Sunday at the Yarborough Tennis Center. Sophomores Billy Blades and Will Nolan both advanced to the singles main drawing, earning a spot in the top 16. Nolan had 2 singles victories, including a win over the 36th ranked singles player in the nation, Dustin Milivonk from Mississippi State, while Blades reached the 16th round after defeating Troy's Carls Anton in just 2 sets. However, both Nolan and Blades lost their next matches on Sunday, ending Auburn's run in the championships. The Tigers will take a break before traveling out west to compete in their last tournament of the fall season. They will be playing in sunny San Diego, California for the ITA National Fall Championships.
Moving on to women's tennis, the Tigers competed in the ITA Southern Regional Championships in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Caitlin Carnicella recorded a shutout win in the first round of the singles main draw in Baton Rouge, demonstrating what it's like to play high-quality tennis. Carnicella made it to the round of 16 individually, and Ava Kogan lost in the round of 64 singles before making it to the double quarterfinals. The women's tennis team is currently competing at the Roberta Allison Invitational.
Switching over to golf, the best team in the country, our Auburn Tigers. They sealed their 3rd title of the season. Number 1, Auburn earned a 19-shot victory in Biloxi, Mississippi at the Fallen Oak Collegiate Invitational. The Orange and Blue were led by freshman Jackson Cavanagh. He placed 2nd and was the highest-placing SEC golfer at the competition. He totaled 17 birdies over 3 rounds. Auburn had 3 other golfers place in the top 10 as well. Alex Volgasong placed 5th, while J.M. Butler and Brendan Valdez tied for 8th place. Sophomore Reed Lauder just missed the top 10 as he landed in 12th place. But wait, there's even more golf this week. Several other teammates stayed in Alabama for the Martin Field Invitational. Auburn's B team competed in Florence and was able to secure second place behind North Alabama. Yet another rookie, freshman Josiah Gilbert, led the Tigers. Gilbert placed in third individually and only finished 4 shots behind the individual winner, Alabama's J.P. Cave. The team will have a bit of a break before ending the fall season at the Cypress Point Classic in Monterey, California on October 30th.
On to cross country, Auburn traveled to Tuscaloosa for the Crimson Classic on Friday. The women stood out as they placed second out of 24 teams. Sophomore Janae Kutsea, how about that for a tongue twister, and Mary Matt Collins both had top 20 finishes. This was Kutsea's third top Auburn finish of the season. She was a major factor in sealing the runner-up spot for the Tigers with 131 points. On the men's side, Auburn was able to upset number 19 Florida State. They placed 7th out of 21 teams with 155 points, and senior Ryan Kinane placed 3rd individually. The team will then take a break until the SEC Championships in Columbia, South Carolina, Friday, October 27th.
Diving into Auburn swim and dive, they hosted their annual War Eagle Invite this past weekend. Both the men and the women put on strong performances against their own teammates. The fastest swim of the event went to Lexi Mulvihill when she recorded 50.83 in the 100 free. This competition will help prepare the team for the conference play coming up. A week from today, the team will travel to Columbia, Missouri to take on the Mizzou Tigers and the Indiana Hoosiers, and we are hoping for a big splash. Punny, right?
Before we wrap up the show, we wanted to announce all of the upcoming sports events for the Auburn Tigers. First up, football versus number 13 Ole Miss is a night game at Jordan-Hare starting at 6 p.m. this Saturday. Moving over to women's volleyball, they will be at home this Friday through Sunday competing against teams Missouri, which is a pink out, and South Carolina, which is Disney Day. Women's soccer will compete against Florida this Thursday, and senior night will take place this Sunday against LSU at home. If you're an Auburn softball fan, you might want to block off your calendars this Sunday as the team takes on Gulf Coast State College and Wallace State Community College in their final doubleheader.
November 3rd through 5th is the ITA National Fall Championships in San Diego for men's tennis. Men's golf will be taking a break until the Cypress Point Classic October 30th through the 31st. Jumping over to equestrian, the team has a home game coming up this Friday against number 6, the University of Georgia. On October 25th, the swim and dive team will take on Mizzou and Indiana, and men and women's cross country will be taking a break until the SEC meeting on October 27th. And last but certainly not least, baseball will break until their second fall exhibition game versus Louisiana Tech on November 4th. That is all we have for you tonight. Make sure to follow our Instagram at Eagle Eye TV and our Twitter at EETV_sports. I'm Valerie Heffernan.
And according to you, I'm Micah Farmer. Good night, and thank you for tuning in to Sports Night Auburn.
War Eagle.
There you go.
Yay.
Let's
Killed it.
go.
Awesome.